Thanks for joining us on episode 411 of the Inspired Stewardship Podcast.
I'm Taylor Stevens, aka Mr. Fi Guy. I challenge you to invest in yourself, invest in others, develop your influence, and impact the world by using your time, your talent, and your treasures to live out your calling. Having the ability to focus on what's really important and define your route to independence is key. And one way to be inspired to do that is to listen to this, the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, with my friend, Scott Mader. Take action today. The best time to plant a tree is 25 years ago. The second best time is today. So it doesn't matter what you want to do in the future or pushing something out. Take action today.
Welcome and thank you for joining us on the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. If you truly desire to become the person who God wants you to be, then you must learn to use your time, your talent, and your treasures for your true calling. In the Inspired Stewardship Podcast, you will learn to invest in yourself, invest in others, and develop your influence so that you can impact the world.
In today's interview with Mr. Fi Guy, Taylor Stevens, about impacting the world, Taylor and I talk with you about making a dent in the universe. Taylor also shares what you need to do if you're struggling with believing that you have an impact. And Taylor and I also talk about his legacy and lots more.
One reason I like to bring you great interviews like the one you're going to hear today is because of the power in learning from others. Another great way to learn from others is through reading books. But if you're like most people today, you find it hard to find the time to sit down and read. And that's why today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. Go to inspiredstewardship.com/audible to sign up, and you can get a 30-day free trial. There's over 180,000 titles to choose from, and instead of reading, you can listen your way to learn from some of the greatest minds out there. That's inspiredstewardship.com/audible to get your free trial and listen to great books the same way you're listening to this podcast. Taylor, also known as Mr. Fi Guy, is a husband, a young financial blogger, and on a path to become financially independent while not living in a cave collecting coupons and only coming out on double coupon Tuesdays. He teaches sound financial principles with humor and good sense, but he wasn't always good with money. In the PW or pre-wife days, he actually wasn't saving much at all. But AW, after wife, he got turned around and put back together, and they increased their savings and cut expenses while still living the life that was important to them. Taylor, welcome to the show.
Hey, great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. I look forward to it, and I know that you'll bring a lot of value to the listeners today.
Thanks. I'll try and do the best I can.
If you struggle with seeing the impact that you have, Taylor has some advice for you. Taylor, what tips do you have for anyone who is struggling with believing that what they do has an impact?
The first thing that you need to do is you need to be looking at what you are doing. And it is very possible that maybe you've got these high ambitions and maybe you're not doing everything that you want to do today. If so, take action today and make that happen. It's not very hard to do just a few things throughout your day that make you feel immensely better about yourself. If you want to do one act of service per day, which is proven to make you so much happier, that is something that you can be proud of. And that could take no more than 5 minutes to maybe do the dishes, make your wife happier. So that's the advice that I would give to someone who is struggling in believing that what they do has an impact.
If someone really wants to make a dent in the universe, what are the top 2 or 3 principles that we need to learn to do this?
What I would say is, if not me, then who? If not now, then when? And a good example that I had was actually listening to another podcast. I'm sure that there are lots of you out there that have listened to this because it's a pretty critically acclaimed podcast, but Startup by Gimlet Media. There's a recent episode that talked about Twitch, and it was just a 2-part series. I would highly recommend if anyone has even the remote entrepreneurial itch within them, you've got to listen to those 2 episodes. That was an incredible series. But what I really liked is the end, kind of wrapping up the 2 episodes. The founder of Twitch, which, spoiler, sold for, I believe, like $1 billion to Amazon. They had struggled for years on Twitch, but at the end, they figured things out. He said that when they started to figure things out, it was like instead of pushing the boulder downhill or uphill, it was pushing the boulder downhill. And he just said, I am not a very smart person. Like, I'm probably above average smart, but I am not a very smart person. I just kept on working at this. And I think that that's a very powerful principle, that you are a lot more capable than you think you are. A lot of people that are doing big things are not any smarter than you. They are just the ones who are taking action and actually doing something about it, and they stay persistent. So I would say you are capable. You can make a big dent, because if you don't, someone else is. So make sure that that someone is you if you want that to be you. And then the second thing is just take action today. The best time to plant a tree is 25 years ago. The second best time is today. So it doesn't matter what you want to do in the future or pushing something out. Take action today.
So Taylor, if you could travel into the far future, maybe 50, 100 years, and look back on your life, what impact do you hope that you've had on this world?
I've thought about this, and the best answer that I have is, of course, right now I'm focusing primarily on my ability to create financial independence. But out there are millions of people that are struggling with their finances to the point that it's actually making them incredibly unhappy, because they're making poor financial decisions. Because unfortunately, in our current system, we don't teach people about personal finance. We don't teach people about credit cards and debt and loans and compound interest and investing in the stock market. Everything seems so scary. So my goal for the impact that I can leave is to empower people with the ability to take control of their finances so that they can then live a happier, more impactful life in every other facet of their life and really make the impact that they want to make. Because unless you have your finances in order, it's incredibly difficult to really do anything, because it's hard to make an impact without a house, without food. So that's the primary impact. And then also just personally under my own roof, we don't have kids right now, but when we do, that I would like to put my wife and my kids first. We don't have those, but that's a very high priority, because I don't think any of that ability to help all of those people will make up if I fail under my own roof. So those are the 2 impacts that I hope to make.
So what's next for Taylor as you continue on your journey to living your call and impacting the world?
Continuing to focus on what's going to make me happy in the future. Again, focusing on that future self. And for right now, that is pursuing more direct paths to monetize things that I'm interested in. Again, I love blogging. I'll continue to do that. And if it turns into something financial, great. I'll continue to do it. If not, I'll continue to do it as well. But I want to pursue something that is going to more directly bring me in income, ideally something that is more passive, where I'm not 100% trading time for money. So that's the primary thing I want to do, and just continue to build our power financially, and continue to give back to others by continuing to reach out to people that are close to me, continuing to write blog posts. I love getting positive messages from people who feel empowered now that I've been able to distill things down as simply as possible, that now they can go and take action, and then they can go make that bigger impact that they're looking to make.
You can connect with Taylor by following him on Twitter or Facebook as @Mr. Fi Guy. That's MrFiguy. You can also find him on his website, MrFiGuy.com. Taylor, is there anything else you'd like to share with the listeners?
Yeah, the only thing I'd really like to share is you can come and check out my content at MrFiGuy.com. If you want to learn about simple ways to think about investing, personal finance, and also ways to try and work on having more of an abundance mindset, looking at ways to both increase your income and then strategically cut down on expenses for things that don't really matter to you. So those are really the tenets that I focus on primarily at Mr. Fi Guy.
Awesome. I definitely will have links to that in the show notes, and I encourage folks that are struggling in those areas to certainly check them out. Thanks so much for listening to the Inspired Stewardship Podcast. As a subscriber and listener, we challenge you to not just sit back and passively listen, but act on what you've heard and find a way to live your calling. If you enjoyed this episode, please do us a favor. Go over to inspiredstewardship.com/iTunes rate, all one word, iTunes rate. It'll take you through how to leave a rating and review and how to make sure you're subscribed to the podcast so that you can get every episode as it comes out in your feed. Until next time, invest your time, your talent, and your treasures. Develop your influence and impact the world.